Hi YouTube, MultimediaJay here. Now, this is probably one of the worst looking and worst sounding videos that I've ever uploaded. But the reason why I'm making this video is just as a little response to the people on YouTube that are missing the glory days. They like to act like the 2000s were amazing and, we need to get back to the glory days of YouTube and stuff along those lines. And I'm not so sure I agree with that. And I wanted this to hopefully be an interesting example of why you might want to watch what you ask for, because you never know what kind of smartasses on YouTube might just give you what you're looking for here. So recently I dug out this very old Logitech webcam from the last time I even messed with a webcam many years ago. Nowadays, of course, with the rise of Twitch and Twitch streaming and stuff like that, I have one of these, which you can find at your local Walmart and stuff, and it does some HD. Whereas this old thing, I believe the highest it can record in is 288p. So not a little bit above 320 by 240, and I think it can only do 30 frames per second, and maybe more like 20 frames per second. I'm looking at the preview here, and it don't look all that great. Probably doesn't sound all that great either. Matter of fact, we're using the built-in microphone on the camera, and we're picking up probably some computer noise from the inside of the computer to record this. So why do this? I want to give these folks who've been talking about how we have to get back to the glory days of YouTube what they've been looking for. And even this actually is a little bit better than what I would have done back in those days with digital cameras, because at least this webcam has white balance. So I turned these are the wrong lights. I'm actually using the yellow warmer lights, and the camera's white balancing them out. So I'll have to remember that for if I want to do another one of these later on. But back in the day, you would have cameras that did auto white balance, or if you used a digital camera, so it might go from white to yellow and back because it adjusted the white balance on the fly. So when I talk about early YouTube was driven by personalities and not by content, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, once upon a time, there was a comedian actually who said that YouTube was a giant circular file of crappy user-generated content. And of course, there was a BlizzCon back in the 2000s where folks were like, yeah, we want to create a package where people can stream BlizzCon over the internet, because we know that although if we don't do something officially, there's going to be a bunch of crappy-looking YouTube videos the next day of all the breakout sessions and stuff from people with their phones and their, snuck a camcorder in or a digital camera or something like that. So in the early days of YouTube, you had a 10-minute limit, you had a 100 megabyte limit. So this might actually go over the original 10-minute limit from back in the day. Actually, I got a timer right there, which is luxury compared to what I used to have back in those days. I was really good once upon a time at stopping videos at 9:59 or editing them down to 9:59 so they'd be under the limit. But you only had 100 megabytes no matter what. So 100 megs, not exactly all that great looking stuff. Once upon a time, the 360p setting was high quality. So it was actually a step up when YouTube allowed for 480p uploading and stuff like that before they rolled out HD. So we can say that YouTube has its problems in 2020, but the truth is that the platform has come a very long way. What you're seeing right now was what all the vloggers were doing. This is a mid-2000s webcam from back when I last messed with a webcam so many years ago, before I got the streaming cam that I use for Twitch now. But this camera is contemporary to the golden era of YouTube, as some would call it. So it's really something quite interesting to think about where this platform has come from. Now, I am going to at least put this in the format that I would use today for video files and do 640 by 480, but I'll tell you right now, this camera cannot do proper 480 resolution. So it is going to look smudgy, it's going to look like crap, it's going to sound like crap, but once upon a time, this is the content that built YouTube. People would come in, you couldn't have good-looking content. You had to depend upon what you were saying, your charisma, your personality. And people would subscribe to YouTubers because of who they were as people or personas if they were playing a character. But this is usually what you would be looking at. So many vloggers, I remember from back in the day. And vlogging doesn't even mean the same thing it means nowadays. Today you subscribe to a daily vlogger or something, and they're going around with a smartphone filming all highlights of what they did today or something. At least that's somewhat edited. once upon a time, vlogging was just this. One big long take of sitting in front of your camera and just talking about whatever was on your mind, and then you would wait forever for your DSL to upload it to YouTube. So, it's... Those of you that missed the good old days of YouTube, you might want to be careful what you ask for, because this is pretty much it right here. You know, there were folks like me who had a bit of an audio-visual background that were trying to use real camcorders or some actual editing, but back then there was vlogger after vlogger after vlogger just sitting down in front of their webcam and oftentimes not even adjusting the settings on it, so at least this one auto white balances. You know, I've seen some really crappy looking and sounding vlogs in the olden days of YouTube back in the day, but there were some vloggers out there who built successful channels with thousands of subscribers off of stuff like this, based with stuff like this and looking and sounding like this. Why? Because people were interested in what they had to say, and they were interested in their takes on just about anything, you know. And of course, whether or not they did vlogs or gaming later on once they got the equipment for it, or just fired the webcam at the screen or something like that. You know, there would actually be people out there that would be subscribing specifically because of the personality behind the screen, not necessarily what they were making or what it looked like. So in terms of these vintage vlogs and whatnot, if by wild chance people are actually still interested in these things, I might actually keep this camera around and hook it up and record stuff like this. This thing sat so long that it was completely out of focus. So I actually had to crank the focus ring. Past where it was in order for this to even work in the first place. Otherwise, that'd be way too fuzzy. But I'm telling you right now, this thing can't even do DVD resolution, so it's not going to look good no matter what. I was just trying to clear it up a little. And since I know what auto white balance is, I will use the right lights next time if I do this again, so I don't get turned blue or whatever this thing's doing. So that is what YouTube was built upon. Simple stuff like this. Heck, I'm not even going to do an end screen on this, and I'm a huge fan of end screens. This is supposed to be representative of vintage vlogging, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to end with a hard cut, too. So hopefully you folks can find some other interesting things to watch on YouTube. If you want to go to my channel page and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And also click the name MultimediaJay on whatever device you're watching this on to go to my channel page if you want to check out more of my videos, because this vintage thing is not going to have an end screen of any sort. So, a little blast from the past here, because I happen to still have an old Logitech from the mid to late 2000s when I was first getting going on YouTube, when I was experimenting, trying to find out what equipment worked the best. And it's funny that just now, in 2020, I'd finally use it to kind of give people a history lesson as to what YouTube used to look like. So, and I'm not going to do anything to the thumbnail either. Whatever one YouTube picks is the one I go with, even if I look like this. That's what built this platform, ladies and gentlemen. If there's interest in these vintage vlogs, I could make a series out of this simple stuff. Just need to figure out some stuff to talk about or something like that. But this is, what you see here is what mainstream YouTube used to be all about. We're almost to 10 minutes, so we got to stop very, very soon. So check out my channel page if you want to watch something else, because I'm not using any of the fancy YouTube features for this video. And till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.